I don't think you should then be investing in real estate if you're not going to make money.
Why are they not making money?
You need to make your money first before you take anyone else's money. You can't just go out there and say, oh, I know everything. I'm this real estate investor, and you've never done anything.
Have you had bad partners? Have you had bad lenders? Like, what are some things that you have gone through? And ultimately, how did you get over that? Welcome back to the Wolves of Real Estate podcast. Today, of course, I have a super special guest, and I mean, she looks taller than me in the chair, but I think I got her. We have Laurie Lane, y'all, real estate investor, realtor, capital raiser, just a straight up beast when it comes to doing anything in the real estate field. So thank you for coming up all the way to Orlando. How was the drive?
Actually, surprisingly smooth. I took the back roads, so missed a lot of that I-4 traffic.
Awesome. So we're gonna dive right into this thing. We were talking before the show, but I'm gonna just dive right into it. So first off, you tell me, your main focus is mostly like multifamily right now, like making cash flow.
Cash flow, exactly. And cash flow, I feel nowadays is not your just single family property. Mm-hmm. You have to have multiple doors.
So multiple doors is one of the things you focus on. Like, it's all about, when you say multiple doors, right? Because there's these door freaks out here. I have 1,000 doors. I have 2,000 doors.
Oh, yes.
So can you explain to me, like, one, why is multiple doors like a good thing for cash flow? And then two, like, is everybody who has multiple doors making money?
That's a great question. So that's, yeah. So
just jump right into it.
Exactly.
Call them out.
Right. Let's call them out. So it is funny that you say that. Why I think multiple doors is a great strategy is because, as we know in business, you kind of have to think about, your multiple opportunities. And we know after being landlords, you have one property. If that tenant moves out, it might be harder to fill that, and then you still have the mortgage. Whereas if you had 3 or 4 or 10, right, on the same property, you're able to, have a higher occupancy rate still going. You're still able to have cash coming into your business, so you can cover those costs and expenses, right? So you're not totally depleted. However, that's great that you mentioned are all these people that have, over 100 doors, right, making money. And it's been interesting because, as we know, right, these last couple years, interest rates have gone up, not just in residential, but also commercial. So anyone who bought, they've had to have a higher interest rate. Maybe the rents didn't go up as they thought that they would because they're all basing this on speculation and their business plans. And so it's funny because, to your point, I talked to someone who has, over 100 doors, and they will say, yeah, I'm not cash flowing.
I'm broke.
Yeah, I'm not making a check. I have to wait until 5 years until we sell. That to me is not the best investment. Mm-hmm. I don't think you should then be investing in real estate if you're not going to make money. I mean, would you invest in anything that's not going to give you a return frequently?
That's a fact. Yeah, I know some of these same people, and it's interesting enough. I heard Ryan Pineda, right? When I think you were with me in Vegas at this time, possibly. I had lunch with him, and he was saying how he realized that the people who were doing the multifamilies, like, he's like, most of them aren't making money. And so I decided, like, I'd rather stick with my damn near my single family homes and my duplexes, and I'm making more money than some of these guys. And back then, I was like, what? Ain't no way. But now, interesting enough, you're saying this, and that, like, really hit the nail on the head. So myself too, I've been focusing on some single units, duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, and I'm just living life over here, right? Living life. So you say you're focusing on multiple doors, right? Now, when we say people have over 100 doors and they're not making any money, let's dive into that. Like, why are they not making any money? You mentioned a few things, like maybe the rents, their plan wasn't that great or whatever, but like, is it also because like their team's too big? Is it like too many pieces of the pie? Or are they like, oh, let's bring in all these people and let's raise $5 million and we're gonna be rich, and like it just doesn't happen?
Yes, exactly. Because also, what was great about meeting you in one of these types of masterminds is seeing that, we were looking at the numbers, right? And seeing that, okay, great, you want to raise $5 million. However, it's way easy. I think, right, better to have a more JV situation where you have one big investor or several people, right? And then that way, to your point, not only do the limited partners make their money back, right? Because they were the investors, the main capital investors, but also the GPs who are, actively, managing the asset, making sure it performs. So I think that's another point, is that, do you come into work and work for free?
Well, I kind of do. I don't get paid unless I make money.
That's true, but I guess true.
My employees, though, no.
True. Well, there you go. And so I think, to that point too, I think there's only so much motivation. For example, I'm very motivated to pick up my property manager's call because I make money on that, and I need to figure out what needs to happen in order to continue that. But if I'm not making any money, there's going to be a lot of probably drama and other things that go on, because there's nothing in it for me, right? If I don't see the initial payout. So
the partnerships never really last that long, at least from what I'm noticing too.
Right.
It's like a big syndication, and it's like 30 GPs, right? 30 general partners, and then it's like, what happened? So I agree. Now I want to educate the people a little bit, because we're throwing out terms out there. So I'm going to ask you like a bunch of questions to help them understand like what we're talking about with like funds and syndications and everything.
Absolutely.
So the first thing is, can you give us like, what is a fund really, and like what is a syndication?
Yes. So a fund would be, they have, think about it, you go to a bank or any investment place, and you're just like, I want to make a return, and then they might have all these funds. You might have heard the term mutual funds, right, where they have different stock options. There's also, ones that you can invest in where it's like the top, 400 companies, right, that are doing well. And then so with that, right, it's you put your money in with a pool of people, and then you get a return. And then a syndication is where a group of people get together, so what we were saying, GPs or general partners, and then they want to buy a property, and so they're going to syndicate, meaning that they're going to raise money for that specific property. You're investing right into that deal. So in some ways it can be good because you actually know of the asset, right? So there's, pros and cons to everything.
Right.
And so, but that's kind of more or less the difference. Is the syndications are going to be, if you are investing in those, you are a limited partner. And so you need to understand what your returns are as an LP, and then how much the general partners are getting, right? We've kind of come across deals where the general partners will take anywhere from, 30 to even 50%. And if you're, again, investing more of the money than some of these general partners, then, you want to have more percentage of the return.
That was an awesome explanation. So a fund is like, you have a crap ton of money, you're like putting it in there because you're running out of places to put it, basically, and it's just going to be constantly growing, right? It can invest in technically multiple different things, but a syndication is for a specific property.
Yeah, and then to that point, it kind of is the same what I was saying before. If you're just investing in that one thing, if that fails, your money's going to fail, versus a fund, if they're investing in a lot of different pieces of real estate or whatever fund you're investing in, that company or property, there could be something that, goes awry one month, but then, these others are carrying the difference. And typically it's a lot more stable in that.
Oh, gotcha. That's a really good breakdown. Now, for anybody who wants to because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to buy this and I don't have the money, I'm just going to raise up money and blah, blah, blah. What's your recommendation for anybody who wants to start or do a syndication or start a fund? Should they just YouTube it?
You know what? This might be an unpopular opinion. I say you need to make your first 6 figures. I really do. You need to make your money first before you take anyone else's money. So that's they
need some experience.
Exactly. You can't just go out there and say, oh, I know everything. I'm this real estate investor, and you've never done anything. That's lying. That's misleading people. I do not like that at all. You need to put yourself in the positions that we put ourselves in, right? Yeah. Go through the hurdles, the challenges, know and get that experience, make your first 6 figures, go on to make more, I don't want to give money to somebody who doesn't know what it's like to have that much money in their bank account, right? We've seen people and heard stories, right? And
Horror stories.
Yeah, and so I think it's like you want to work with people who are also, like you, and they invest and they don't treat money like it's water or that it's, not you. And that's where that trust comes into play. And so I think, when people talk to me, they just naturally trust me because they know and see and have, seen what we've done, or they recognize like, oh wow, like, yeah, you gave me an awesome return, I want to keep working with you. So then the referrals kind of come through that way. But yeah, ultimately it's experience. And so I agree with you, you shouldn't just jump on YouTube and start raising money. I think you need to start doing your own deals first, and then get to that point where you start using other people's money.
Okay, awesome. So this kind of leads in perfectly because, of course, we had a fund, right, at one point, and these are some of the things that we both learned, right, together. So, and then what we saw was a lot of horror stories, right? There's people out there. I remember this one guy had this fund, I think, like in Atlanta, and all these people were putting money in it, yeah, let's put this money in here, let's put this money in here, and there was a lot of like bad things that happen. And you tell me how you feel about this. So the first thing is, a lot of people were putting like their last dime into this fund, right? Like you only have $10,000, but you put 5 into the fund, or you put 8 into the fund. They kind of thought, I don't know, like it was a get rich quick, right? So first off, there's no get rich quick funds really out there. And if you do hear something that sounds too good to be true, chances are like, okay, it is. So run in the other direction. Another issue is apparently like all this money just basically disappeared, right? They're putting, it was millions of dollars. It wasn't like 200,000, wasn't 400,000. I'm talking over 3 million. And then it's like, wait a minute, no one's got any returns? What happened? Where's the money, right? But he's, this guy has this huge house. He's got this nice car now. And it's like, okay, what the hell is going on here? So how can we vet people, right? Like, let's say we're a little bit experienced now, been in real estate for 3 to 5 years or something like that. Let's just say we're accredited, but now we're like, okay, now I want to start investing into some things. What's your advice to people who want to put their money into somewhere? Like, how do they vet? Should they be seeking like legal advice? What do you think?
Yes, again, it goes back to that experience. I have learned, even myself, the way you vet people is you not only talk to them about their experience and how much work that they've done, but listen to what they say when they talk about the money that they make. For example, we've also seen those posts where it's, that 6-figure check. I've definitely had 6-figure checks where I've legitimately made 6 figures on that property. I've also had 6-figure checks where I'm like, I need to pay off a credit card that's been sitting and I'm going to make under 100K. I'm still going to make profit, but I'm not going to make that 6 figures. So I would say, when you're talking to these, people with experience, or I've done this, also they might say they have the experience, but they've actually partnered with people. And then you come to find out that they didn't actually do it. You need to know then, are they also on the LLC? So, doing your due diligence and looking up that LLC, making sure who you're talking to is on that LLC. Because again, if you're giving them money and then that company fails, can you actively go back to that company? Or are you going to the person that is broke, can't give you that money? You can't get blood out of a turnip, right? That's the whole adage. So you want to be able to know, like, hey, I'm investing with somebody who keeps their word and also, is doing this and has my back and everything. And to your point too, you should never invest your last dime because you should always have a savings. We invest because, well, for a couple different reasons, right? We want our money to grow larger than it's sitting in the bank account, right? I feel like I did this to myself last year. I kept my money in my bank account thinking, I need to like invest it and I'll keep finding something. I should have put it in a high yield savings account. I would have made 4% because I actually didn't do any flips last year. I said I'm gonna, chill out with the interest rates being high, but I still could have invested, right? So there's other vehicles that you can actually invest in that are safer before you make that initial plunge into something risky that will make you more money, granted. But, you know, that's the thing, is that you should never invest your last dime.
Man, if you would have told me that, you could have did some transactional funding or something, man. That money would have grew.
Next time. Well, hey, there's always this here. I mean, yeah.
Transactional funding is, you know, I don't know if you've done any transactional funding, but like these wholesalers, they need to double close sometimes, right? Depending on like if they're going through lending or whatever. So with the A to B contract, they technically have to buy the property, right? And they don't have the money to buy the property, but they do have an end buyer who they're gonna assign it to. So transactional funding comes in. Hey, here's $40,000 for you to buy the property. The awesome thing about it is you literally get your money back the next day, right? So it's like, here's 40,000, but you get back 42,000. Right, like it's.
Well, you might then have to hit me up, because
it's a pretty good strategy.
Right. And then I will have to say too, I feel as though being in real estate and being in business, you should be investing for the sole reason of your business could fail. And so, one of my properties, right, that was my primary residence, but I rented out 2 of the units. It was pretty much I call it a monster house, but you know, I lived in one side, there was another side, there was like a little tiny house. Anyway, that actually got flooded last year in Hurricane Idalia. I cannot actually repair it. It is beyond repair. There's so many things going on with that. Essentially, I'm now underwater on the mortgage. And the mortgage company is telling me, you know, you signed your name on the loan, you owe us, you know, all this money. And you know, I am so fortunate that I have a property that I can sell and get myself back again on the situation and out. And so I think about, you know, the situation that other people are in. They're in the same, you know, a lot of my neighbors. I know so many people, you know, who are in the same boat as me. And, you know, I don't know what their financial plan is, but at least I have that strategy, that exit strategy, because of real estate investing.
We're going to have to open that up a little bit, because this is something Floridians might not know, and we get hurricanes, right, all the time, and there's areas that flood. So can you break down a little bit, like, why can't you can't rehab this property? Like, there's a rule or something about, like, if the house floods bad enough or something like that. Can you break that down?
Yes, I can. So it's called the FEMA 50% rule. However, in Pinellas County, where I live, it's FEMA 49% rule, meaning that if the damage exceeds 49% of the structure's value, you cannot repair. And the reason why is because, on further investigation, my house is actually 5 feet below base flood level. Meaning that if you were to build a new house in my neighborhood today, you would have to make the entrance up 10 feet. So it'd have to be a single family home on stilts, or now they're doing, you know, garages, and then the house ends up here. In Florida, we cannot just bring infill and put a house on a hill anymore. We can't do that. So we have to do these kind of different configurations. So you'll start noticing that more and more along the coast, especially with hurricane impacted communities. So with that being said, I cannot repair, because they don't want the same situation happening over and over again. They want me to elevate my house or completely rebuild. Right. Or I have to sell it and have someone else rebuild, which again, I'm a problem solver, you know me. I'm also trying to get into development for this reason, because I see all this opportunity, but I'm just not in the best situation with this, because I way overpaid for what happened, right? So again, I'm in this situation, yet I can still get out of it, right? I'm gonna have to pay money at the end of the day. It's gonna be my failure property, right? And my portfolio and all the projects I've done, that's gonna be the one that is gonna hurt the most. I definitely negative. And for the longest time, I was really, really disappointed, you know, like I was so angry about that, you know, and I had to get over it, because I had to say, that's business though. You're gonna have failures. You're gonna buy something and something's gonna go wrong, right? But it's how you then go forward, how you mitigate that, and how you continue to invest so your money grows. So when, you know, if you end up in the hospital, or you end up things happen, right? Life happens. You can pull money out where it was growing and you didn't have to work a side job. You didn't have to, work harder or, right?
Yeah.
That's what investing is for. You take money, not all of your savings, right? Again, but you take the money that you are making, you invest it so you can have that retirement in the future. You can not have to work so hard as you grow older, especially as business owners.
Right. And that house, and I think you said St. Pete, right?
Yes.
It's not just you. Like, I mean, this is a whole, basically an entire community that flooded more than, and it didn't used to flood. And I'm hearing a lot of people in Florida saying like, yo, my house never flooded before. Now it's flooding when we just get rain.
Yes, although mine has flooded, funny enough. Mine is a different story. Mine was definitely, I was more fixated on the cash flow opportunities because I was house hacking to the point where I was making money each month. And then, and it was in a really desirable area. So yes, I think, but again, that shiny object, made me realize, okay, you have to look at all those factors. And to your point, I think that is something, to keep in mind if you're buying in Florida. Our insurance rates have gone up, right? We now have this new flood disclosure, but to your point, yes, I think you need to go on a rainy day and see how bad the streets are, because that's a good indication. Or check the elevation certificates. There's certain things, get with someone who knows how to buy in Florida. And it's crazy also, to your point. I mean, last year I've been really, leveling up in my business, and I showed over 50 waterfront properties. And most of them were actually in Fort Lauderdale. And I'm in, a $4 million house, and I look at the elevation, and Broward County wants everyone to move their seawalls up to 5 feet by 2035. And that's going to be the new code. And they're already flooding in their streets during full moons.
Wow. So
it's crazy because, in witnessing this, I mean, we're going to have to keep building. There's so much opportunity to do that. And people move to Florida to be by the water. Well, you don't.
Everybody's gonna be by the water because Florida's
True.
Gonna be underwater.
Exactly.
Right?
Which is why you should be careful when buying these properties that were built in 1950s, right? That were not built to withstand these hurricanes and strong winds. And so I view it as, we just have to build better and stronger, we're going to be completely underwater.
Jeez. So, we're talking about like investing, right? And unfortunately, people think that it's easy. And you mentioned this earlier, like you've gone through some stuff, right?
Oh yes.
What type of things can we expect to go through as a real estate investor, right? Everybody on social media is just, oh, I made money, right? And one thing that I like to do is I ask everybody on the show, what is some like adversity that you actually gone through? I know you mentioned the flood, right? What about like any other ventures that you've done? Like, have you had bad partners? Have you had bad lenders? Like, what are some things that you have gone through? And ultimately, how did you get over that?
Yes, I think every real estate investor can, if you were to talk to any real estate investor, they would say that there's definitely been a bad relationship with a contractor.
That's number one.
Number one.
Number one.
And honestly, there's no way you're going to avoid that, really. I mean, contractors are who they are. They're 1099, they come and go as they please. I literally called my one that I was working with really closely and couldn't get a hold of him. Anyway, he called me back just last month and said, oh, I was gone for 4 months in Mexico. I mean, that's just how they operate sometimes. So, yeah. So I now categorize him as handyman, right? And you have to kind of look at your contractors, and that's how I've overcome that, is that it's just like, all right, who's more reliable and who can do what role and who can get stuff done or etc., right? And you have to also kind of just keep weeding them out too. Yeah. Like swapping them out. You just got to keep recruiting in that matter. Always keep recruiting contractors, because you just never know when they go to Mexico for 4 months, or they skip out of town, or they didn't renew their business license. There's all of these things, so especially for them. So I think that's something I've had to overcome. I think also I've learned you really need to set clear expectations with people. I used to want to, give people chances and opportunities until I said, enough is enough. My business is my business, and if I want to give and donate, I will do that to charity. I will go volunteer. I love that kind of stuff, but I'm not going to do it in my business, and it's just, that's how it goes.
A lot of power in saying no.
Yes.
Everybody has a company these days. Oh, yeah. I get so many cards. Hey, I do contract work, I do landscape, and I get cards, and like I gotta vet you. I need to see the work that you've done. Like you said, I'm checking Secretary of State, seeing if your business is active. I'm asking you. I'm not paying no contractors in cash, right? No Zells, no cash. Hey, send me an invoice. Why? So I can use my credit card.
There you go.
And if you don't do this work, I'm getting my money back.
Right, exactly. And then if they're not providing that, you move on to the next one. And that's what I kind of failed. It's like, I want to help this person, in their business. No. They're not doing a business. They don't care enough. So you need to move on. You got to be careful with people who are just trying to make money, right? Same with the realtors, same with the wholesalers. Anybody who's only trying to make money and not actually trying to help people, right? It's going to be a bad day. Yes. Right, bad day. Now, we talked about multifamily a little bit here. We talked about investing, and now I kind of want to jump into how can you vet, like there's people out here that, like you said, they're raising capital and stuff, and you mentioned like checking the company to make sure that like they actually work for the company. What would you say about like most of these people who own these doors, like these fund managers, these multifamily investors? How much of them are actually successful? Do you think a lot of them are, or like most people are just like faking? No, I would say there's people that I met, and I genuinely believe that they are making money. They've had that success. Again, that track record. They're able to show the physical property, the amount of returns. There's a lot of, I would also say, because I feel strongly, because I haven't truly vetted them, I notice that there's a lot of people that I do know who are in the same business that are liking their posts and commenting and seem to be connected with them. So I think, again, it's reputation wise, right? And people who have like invested with them, which is great. Again, those testimonials are really valid and really critical. So I think there are people that are doing it. It's just, again, there's some people that are doing the whole, Instagram hype, right? And I think also the people that aren't, they have over 100 doors, but they aren't making money. I don't see them post that they're, I'm at my property. It's really reassuring when, again, no matter how many doors you own, I think you should, either you or you should have someone on your team be going out to those properties. And so I've met people who are owners of large multifamilies, and I didn't really talk to them about their business. I just knew that they were gone all the time because they were that was their job, right? Is managing that asset. And so, that's another thing too, is that a lot of the times those people aren't so quick to also be on social media talking about it either. Like they just do their job and they do it well, and then, you're just talking to them and know them from so-and-so, and it's just legitimate. Like you can just see based on their lifestyle, right? And that's a huge point. But that can also, like, are they actually at properties? Like, are they right? Are you, every time you see them, they're just promoting something? You've never ever seen them in a meeting at a property, or they're at the fanciest place in the city, and they're like, I'm a real estate investor, and you're like, no, yeah, exactly. If they're at a property and they're just like, yeah, I'm helping a tenant move out, or I'm working with the property managers to like sort this out, agreed. So I'm gonna tell you, I think most of them are lying. Yes. I think most of them are straight just saying stuff. And when I say most, probably say like over around 75 to 80% are probably just not what
doing what they say they do, or they maybe tried it or trying it but hasn't really seen success. And why do I say that? Because you've been in there with me. Remember, we spent thousands of dollars to learn how to invest in multifamily and raise capital, right? Like $40,000, right? And then it's like, okay, everybody comes to this, and then like, yo, let's all go raise capital. How successful were people in actually raising capital? I mean, probably not really that successful, because it doesn't work that way. You can't just get out there and just suddenly raise millions of dollars. You're new. Nobody knows who you are. And that's why I like that you said, I would suggest getting some experience first. Get some experience, network, build these relationships. I don't think people understand how important that aspect is. So can you talk to us about like how you've grown, like what type of events that you went to, what type of people that you met? Like, what was your goal even going to these events? Did you just go sit around and look cute? Or were you actually, talking to people, trying to figure out how you can help them? Can they help you? What does that look like?
Yes, I really wanted to level up in my business because I was kind of tired of just, doing one property at a time and like living in it and stuff. So I wanted to figure out, how do I get to the next level and, surround myself in rooms with people who have done bigger deals and, have gone on. And what I've learned though is that it's not really in the events. I mean, you can meet people at events, and I've formed great relationships. So I think events are great to network for sure. I think you do have to have a goal in mind though. You can't just go and drink the free drinks and eat the appetizer. Like, I don't even go, I don't even touch that. I'm like water, and then I'm just here to talk and then kind of almost dip out. And I only, again, go to an event if I have a goal in mind. Recently I went to an event because it was for multifamily. Since I'm trying to sell mine, I wanted to meet people who might want to buy, right? So I think to that, point is just have a goal in mind. And I think, again, you're going to meet more people when you do the work. Because here's the thing, when you start doing, when you start trying to buy, you're going to reach out to people. You're going to then meet a private lender. For example, I wanted to buy a flip, and I didn't want to go with a hard money lender. I wanted to form a relationship with a private money lender. Less paperwork, less, they're not so much of a business. I could talk to them, right? And in doing so, it was this couple, and they also flipped a lot of properties in St. Pete. And what was nice is that if I had a problem, I could call them and say, hey, I need a contractor to do this. Do you have one? Oh, he had extra material. He called me up. And so it's, again, once you start doing that work, you meet those people that you really do, need to meet to grow your business. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, so just don't sit around, and you can't just YouTube your whole way through it. You got to get out there and take action.
Absolutely.
It's not about how many books you read. It's about how many pages you apply.
Yes.
Right? Get out there, get dirty. I think I've seen you like demolishing stuff. I've seen you painting. I've seen you actually out there in the field. Doing work.
I'm also a firm believer too that I've managed a lot of teams, and I truly believe that the best leaders are those that when your team is struggling, you can go in and start helping, and it's not because, to me, I find that, the greatest leaders, that's what they've done. And they come in, they help, and then they, get it back up, the energy almost, right?
Yeah. So a couple of things before we wrap this up. One, I want to know, for anybody who's like thinking about getting into real estate, what do you recommend them do? Like, should they get a real estate license? Should they just jump into investing, maybe get a mentor? Should they just say, forget real estate and just go to college? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes. So my thoughts are, I guess, sit down and figure out why you want to get into real estate. And so, if it is to buy a property that you can live in, that's different, right? Then versus I want to invest and hold on to this long term and keep building. And if that is the way you want to go, then I would say it's great to definitely work with people, right? Such as yourself or me, and there's a lot of other coaches, but again, vet those coaches. But yes, I think the most value is going to be surrounding yourself with those who are doing the actual work, not saying it. and to learn from them before jumping in. I was really fortunate before I started flipping houses and remodeling and demolishing things. I got to work alongside someone who was doing it already, and so then I got to see how the process went. So I think that is very valuable.
Awesome. Any books you recommend? Like any books helped you kind of get here today? Even mindset wise?
Yes. Well, let's see. I'm trying to think. I really liked The Power of Habit is a good book. I think I'm saying it correctly. It's been a while since I read it. That, and I always love Never Split the Difference.
Okay.
I'm really, I pride myself on negotiations, and I always look for the ways to be better at negotiating, which will help save you money.
Oh, yeah.
And in this business. So that is a really good one. And yes.
The Power of, what did you say, habits?
Yes, it's The Power of Habits, and it's
Never Split the Difference.
Yes, and The Power of Habits is really unique too because it really dives into how we think and work, our minds work, and we're kind of creatures of habit. So if you can develop a habit, it actually helps with success, and they have a lot of stories. It's really fascinating if you like kind of that sort of.
No, everybody go read that book, because I see way too many people who are like, I'm gonna go be a realtor, and like it's not gonna work, right? It's your bad work ethic, your bad habits, and your lack of consistency on why you don't have money right now. And they think, I'm just gonna go be a realtor and suddenly be rich. And what's crazy is, even with OnlyFans, people are like, I'm gonna go do OnlyFans and I'm gonna be rich, and then they fail. You won't make money on OnlyFans if you suck and you're not consistent.
Well, also having spoken actually with an OnlyFans manager, they said it's too saturated. Don't get in. So that is.
You have to be like, even with almost any industry, they don't understand. You have to be better than everybody else.
But I also think it's timing too. So for example, right now people are talking about the BRRRR strategy. That was great when interest rates were 3%. And I'm not saying that it can't work, but don't go on the market, on the actual real estate market in Orlando, and try to pick up a property and BRRRR it. It's just not going to happen. Go somewhere where they're selling, that's what I like about your academy with tax deeds. That makes sense. Go buy a really cheap property. Go do a seller finance, get the interest rate, below 6%, and then remodel it, and then pull your cash out, and etc., right?
Yeah.
But some of these things now that are being said, I go, yeah, that was great 2-3 years ago.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Cash flowing $100 a month per door, right? Like.
Right. And
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, to that point, there are so many other avenues that you can invest in. I think you really have to understand that real estate is a long-term goal. Yeah. And that's something that I've learned. I kind of dip out really quick on properties. I haven't really held on to something for longer than 2 years, and I don't know if real estate is my thing, right? I might go invest in something where I can keep dipping out and dipping out. And then, yeah.
She's a ghoster. She goes.
I know. I'm just kidding. I do love real estate. I'm really passionate about seeing projects all the way through, and I want to continue in that space. But you have to realize it's a long-term play.
And you have a triplex that's available now or coming soon?
To market. Yes. Yeah. It is available off market, but I will be listing it live sometime next week.
Okay. So three doors, all rented?
All rented. 100%.
So it's cash flowing already, it's making money.
Yes, so crazy enough. So the net income, meaning that the income I make from all 3 units, is $2,500 a month.
Net. Holy crap.
Yes.
That's good.
Right. And after I pay not only my operating expenses, but also my mortgage, I'm making $1,484.22. And that's my cash flow.
Oh, so your net is $1,400 something.
Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, revenue.
Can we redo that? Okay.
So your revenue was 25.
So ask me that question again, because we're going to,
So your revenue, $2,500 a month?
So here, you asked me the question about the 3 units.
Oh, so you have 3 units available right now, right? A triplex that you're about to sell, or are you selling?
Yes. So I am currently selling my property in Shamokin, Pennsylvania. It's 3 units, and the income that I'm making each month is $2,500.
$2,500, and then after expenses and everything, you're still netting over $1,000.
Yes.
You take home like $1,400 still.
Yeah. So I'm taking home currently. My cash flow is $1,484.22.
That's fire. And you mentioned a city or a town in PA that most people have not heard of, and I love it because that's like my go-to move, right? Everybody wants to be in the major cities, and
Right.
I'm like, what city, like if you don't live in this state, what city can I go to that if I say it, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, right? Those have been my go-to moves, and I really identify like which market phases that these areas are in. Buyer's market phase 1, buyer's market phase 2, seller's market phase 1, seller's market phase 2. So Shamokin is actually one of those ones. When we got in there, it was like a buyer's market phase 1, right? And we're buying these houses for like $20,000, putting a little bit of work into them, and then cash flowing like $1,000. Actually, when I first got there, before you ever went, it was like $800 a month in rents.
Wow.
Now the rents are like $1,200, $1,300. Like there's some areas like $1,400, $1,500. So I was like, okay, this makes sense for cash flow purposes.
Exactly, because that's what people ask. Why Shamokin, Pennsylvania? I've never heard of that place. And I said, to your point, yes, it's cash flowing. I can't make that cash where I live now.
Oh, yeah.
I like where I live. I just can't make that, and I don't want to continue to invest and have the high insurance and the high interest rates. So yes, to your point,
our expenses are super low there. I have about 8 units there too. I have about 8 doors there, and I love it. Our property manager is wonderful.
I love her.
She's great. I love it. If you're interested in that deal, definitely reach out to Laurie. Where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at Laurie, LAURIELN, on Instagram. We can also share my contact info. I'm happy to put my website, email address, all that good stuff.
I'll put her phone number on a billboard. Everybody,
please don't.
Here she is.
Please don't.
Is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap up? You got any events coming up or anything?
No, I'm just really excited to hit the ground running and sell my first, because even though it's 3 units, it's pretty much deemed commercial, so it's going to be my first property that's fully occupied. I kind of saw a full cycle with it, and I'm really excited about that. And yeah, just continuing to sell more in the Tampa Bay area.
So if you need a house in the Tampa Bay area, you know who to call. All right, so I appreciate you for coming.
Yes, thank you
so
much.
And before y'all head out, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Stay tuned. Make sure to give her a follow on Instagram. And there's a lot coming. So I want you to stay tuned and really focus, and let's grind and let's work hard, because somebody watching this video right now is probably our future business partner. So let's make that happen. See y'all on the next one.
Yeah.